I want to begin by thanking you for being here today, for recognizing today and maybe every day that Unity of Wilmington is a source of spiritual nourishment for you. This holiday time is celebrated by many cultures and many religions all around the world, and almost all of these cultures and these religions have a practice of giving and receiving. And all around the world, the media is supporting this practice of giving and receiving. Sometimes the media, which is the news or the radio or the television or even Facebook or some regular website that you go to get your news on the internet, promotes the activity of gift giving. And really, even though it was intended for our highest and best, skews our expectations of what our personal lives are like. Sometimes the media promotes unrealistic expectations, which then, of course, we are absolutely delighted by. Oh my goodness, look, it's Alexis in my driveway. Or we're disappointed. So my question to you as we begin is, has 2016 brought you all the gifts that you wanted and expected? Has 2016 brought you gifts that you desired? Or has 2016 brought you disappointments and challenges? Has 2016 perhaps brought you a little bit of both? Because whatever our personal highs and lows are, they are reverberated throughout our community. In Unity, we believe in oneness. We consider oneness a principle. So whatever you or I are experiencing, other people can recognize it. So if you or I are experiencing happiness, other people will look at us and they'll recognize that happiness because they have it in themselves as well. Or if you or I are experiencing sadness or loneliness, other people will look at us and they'll see our sadness and loneliness because they have it in themselves, even if it's just a little bit. Romance fiction writer Tessa Dare says this: she was well enough acquainted with loneliness to understand that the worst part wasn't having nobody to care for you, it was having nobody to care for. It was having nobody to care for. Because we actually can't control what other people do, as much as we'd like to. It's just not in our control file cabinet to force someone to feel love, feel caring, feel appreciation. Just like we can't force someone to feel angry or ugly or mean. We just can't force somebody else to feel. Not our control file cabinet. I don't know if you're aware, but we have two file cabinets in life. One of things we can control, and one of things we can't. And we can't control what other people say, what other people do, and what other people feel. But what we can control is what we feel. And so it is with giving and receiving. We can control what we give and who we give to, but we cannot control what other people choose to give us or not give us. There's an amazing young man who lives in Ghana, and he's written a number of books. His name is Ernest Yaboa, and he's the one who wrote, "The deeper I think, the more silent I become." I don't know if you've heard that phrase before, the deeper I think, the more silent I become. But he also said this: we must not just be recipients but givers. We must not just be keepers but donors. Giving brings relief, and sharing enlightens the heart. Caring joins, and showing love is life. It is never enough to acquire all acquisition. It is never enough to have all our ambitions. We must endeavor to give, for giving out of a true heart is a true love, and a true love is a true life. There's a story about a little boy who grew up in a rich family. And because he was in this rich family, he could pretty much buy all the candy, all the toys, and anything he wanted. But what he developed an affinity for were rare and unusual objects. So one day this little boy is in an antique store and he sees a mirror and he recognizes that there's some mysterious quality about this mirror, and he convinces his parents to buy it for him. And the parents buy it for him and they bring it home, they put it in his bedroom, and he goes and he's so happy with his new thing that he walks up to the mirror and he looks in it, and all he sees back is a sad reflection of himself. So he says, well, this isn't right. And he tries to tickle himself, and he makes funny faces, and he tries to think of things that would make him happy, and the mirror doesn't respond. Every time he looks in the mirror, he sees this picture or reflection of a sad little boy. So he goes out and he buys himself some more candy, and he buys himself some more toys, and he comes home he thinks he's feeling happy, and he looks in the mirror, and there's just a reflection of a sad little boy. Finally, he's fed up, and in disgust, he pushes the mirror back into the corner of his bedroom and decides he's going to go out and play. So as he's walking to the park with money jangling in his pocket for treats he knows he's going to want to buy himself, he sees this other little boy. And the other little boy is crying, and he goes over and he says, "What's wrong? What's happening?" And the little boy says, "I've lost my parents. I don't know where to find them." And so the rich boy thinks, well, I know how to take care of this. And he says, "Come with me." And he takes him to the store and he buys him some candy, and the little boy's still crying. So he buys him a toy, and the little boy is still crying. So finally they start to walk around the neighborhood looking for the little boy's parents. And eventually they find the parents, and the parents, who are very worried, are very happy. And then the two of them say goodbye and they go off. Well, the rich little boy, he looks at his watch and he says, well, it's time for me to go home. So he goes home without having played, without having bought himself anything. And as he comes into his bedroom, that mirror is glowing. That mirror is emanating a light that he hasn't seen from it before. And he takes the mirror and he turns around, and there is his own reflection, almost on fire. And he realizes that it's the magic of the mirror. The mirror can only faithfully reflect what's in our hearts. It was through giving, that's beholding the spirit of care and community with that little boy, that the rich boy found his heart and found true happiness. Now, I don't know that that story is real, but I love the lesson. I love the lesson. And it reminded me of this quote from Proverbs. "Mercy to the needy is a loan to God, and God pays back those loans in full." To me, this is the Judeo-Christian version of how to create good karma, right? Whatever loving kindness we put out in the universe is the loving kindness we're going to get back, but with interest. When we look at it metaphysically, it even gets better. The word mercy, metaphysically, represents righteous adjustment. It represents Christ-like treatment. It's not the product. Mercy is not the product. Mercy is the consciousness of the come from. So when we come from that righteous adjustment, realigning our minds, souls, and our bodies with the divine, when we have a come from of a Christ-like treatment, we're creating good karma in the world. We are building consciousness of joy, love, and peace. Now, the interesting thing to me is when needy is combined with mercy in metaphysics, needy doesn't talk about lack at all. It's not about what's missing. It's a reminder of our wholeness. Needy really is about spiritual growth. Our need, want, and desire for spiritual growth. Charles Fillmore says this: "It is desire, earnest, intense desire, that draws the whole being out of mortality and its transient joys into the power to appreciate and receive real spiritual blessings. So mercy and needy creates wonderful karma when we choose to engage in it. At this time of the year, it's easy to say, I behold the spirit of care and community in you. There are lots of things that are coming toward us, reminding us that this is a good time for care and community. I know that you've gotten really good letters about worthy causes. Wink, wink, wink. Mortgage campaign, wink, wink. But we also see Salvation Army bell ringers in front of a whole bunch of stores. And we also hear on the television and the radio about worthy causes that we can engage in, opportunities for us to exercise care and community that amplify our power to appreciate and receive spiritual blessings. We could do this every day. It doesn't even have to be the holiday time. We can do this every day. And some of us do behold the spirit of care and community with our friends every day, with our neighbors every day, and even with people who we meet on the street. This next story is a true story. It was written up in Huffington Post, and it's about a young man named Brendan who wanted to be a successful DJ in New York City. And so there he was, he moved, he found himself an apartment, and one day he was coming back to his apartment in Brooklyn when a homeless woman approached him and asked him for some help. And quite honestly, Brendan said, look, I don't have anything to give you. I'm going to have to say no. And over the course of that week, she approached him 2 more times. And then on Friday, she came up to him and said, look, I've decided I don't want anything that you could possibly give me because your life is full of no's. No, 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 no is all I hear from you. And I'm wondering how often you hear no in your life. Well, Brendan was a little bit uncomfortable, and he thought, well, this conversation is way too esoteric and going in a direction that I'm not sure is quite sane. And so he said, look, I'm going out, I'm on my way out, I'm going to a job interview. It's the best opportunity that I've had all week. And if I get a yes for this job, I will take you out for Chinese food. So of course you know what happens. He put yes, he had a righteous alignment, readjustment, and he put yes in his consciousness. He went out and he got that job. And so that Chinese food dinner didn't just end up being a one-time thing. They got to be friends. And over the course of 8 years, they developed this relationship of mutual support. Her name was Jackie. So Brendan and Jackie would celebrate their birthdays together, holidays together. When somebody needed something, the other one would provide it. When Brendan's heater broke, she went out and made him a blanket. When he lost his job 2 days after that, she immediately disappeared and came back with a bag of groceries. She helped him with groceries that entire winter. When Brendan had gotten a better job, things kind of turned around for him, but he continued his relationship with Jackie, and I want to show you a picture of the 2 of them. There they are, because they're for real people. Jackie herself went from living on the streets to living in a shelter to living in a halfway house to living at the YWCA. And when she moved into her very own apartment, Brendan decided that the way to celebrate was to go to Target and create a registry for all the things that Jackie would need in her apartment. By then, Brendan had a great job. He was the DJ for Lady Gaga. See what yes, the power of yes can do for your life. But he still didn't have enough money to buy everything for Jackie, so he made a video and they put up a GoFundMe page, and that their goal was $500. The video went viral, and they closed the GoFundMe page after they had gotten over $6,000 for Jackie, who then turned around with her extra money and helped other women find permanent housing for themselves. To me, this is beholding the spirit of care and community with our friends, with our neighbors, and even with people who we meet on the street. I want to close by reading a passage from Isaiah. And this is from the Message translation, which has a little more contemporary language. But Isaiah is the prophet who foretold the coming of the Messiah. He foretold that emergence of love, that emergence of light, that birth of understanding, actually in each and every one of us metaphysically, that lights the world. Isaiah said, if you get rid of unfair practices, quit blaming victims, quit gossiping about other people's sins, if you were generous with the hungry and start giving yourselves to the down and out, your lives will begin to glow in the darkness. Don't you love that? Your lives will begin to glow in the darkness. Your shadowed lives will be bathed in sunlight. I will always show you where to go. I'll give you a full life in the emptiest of places. Firm muscles, strong bones. You'll be like a well-watered garden, a gurgling spring that never runs dry. You'll use the old rubble of the past lives to build anew. Rebuild the foundations from out of your past. You'll be known as those who can fix anything. Restore old ruins, rebuild and renovate, make the community livable again. I behold the spirit of care and community in myself. I behold the spirit of care and community in you. Let's say this together, these two powerful affirmations. I behold the spirit of care and community in myself. I behold the spirit of care and community in you. And really what we're saying is namaste. The light that shines in me beholds the light that shines in you. Namaste. Let's sing our way to